welcome back to Computers for the Completely Clueless. And Kim, we were talking about Grabber.
Grabber, yeah, that's the little, it's just kind of a technical term. And
technical term.
Sort of. I mean, you know, the software engineers have to call these things something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so a lot of times you'll have these little spots on a toolbar, especially you'll see it. And you want to be able to drag that toolbar around. You put your mouse on top of it. Mouse turns to a four-way arrow. And when you see that, you click on the mouse and drag it where you need to go.
It's called a grabber.
It's called the grabber. That's what you do. You grab the toolbar and move it where you want it to go. So we're going to go back to our Word document now. We were, and it's funny, we were talking during the break about things that we're clueless about. Yeah. Lee and I found something we'd never actually seen.
Never saw that before.
Well, that's one of the great things about computers. There's always something new to discover. So we've added a little bit of text here, and we're going to do a couple things, Lee. What I would like to do...
Can I get some real estate back over here?
Yeah, real estate. Yes. Over on the right, we have that sidebar. And in the upper right-hand corner of the sidebar, you see a little X. That's the close button. And when you see the X and you click on it, it's going to close whatever that you had.
Now it feels like I can see a lot more of my document.
I see, over in the upper right-hand corner, I see 2 more X's. Should I click on those?
Well, let's explain what happens there. If you click on this one,
yes,
the lower one, it's going to close the current document, but not the program.
Okay.
And if I click on the one at the top where it says Word, it'll close the program.
Okay.
Now, the funny thing about Word, though, is that it'll actually open up its own instance of every document. And very often I can close that top one and I still have my other documents open if I'm working on 3 or 4 at the same time.
Yeah, so you can have more than one word processing document open at a time, close the one that you don't need, and continue to work on the ones that you do. And that's the small X there. All right, so here's what I would like to do in this document. We got a pretty good start on it, but I want to insert a picture at the top of the page. I don't want it to fill the whole page. I just want to have a little picture up there. And then I want to have the heading that you've typed. I want that centered on the page, and I want the formatting to be a little bit different. How would we go about doing that?
Well, let's start with that picture that you were talking about. To insert a graphic, we're going to click on Insert. And this is where Microsoft did make this relatively easy. You go down to Picture.
Right.
Now, if you have a file that you want to do,
right,
picture that you made from a camera or something,
right,
you would go down to the File.
Okay.
And then they've got a lot of other kinds of pictures they can insert.
Now, real quickly, though, notice when you put your mouse there on these items, this is another common computer interface thing, 3 little dots.
Yep. Dot, dot, dot.
Dot, dot, dot. Now, what that means is that when you select that item, a little window is going to appear, and you're going to have to provide more information.
So now, dot, 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 is that another technical term?
It is a dot, dot, dot. Yes, exactly right. It's a technical term. And also down at the bottom of this, and this is something that kind of gets aggravating, you see there are more options, and they hide those at the bottom of these windows, and they put them in a little circle. So there's other things, obviously, that we can insert. But let's say the picture that we want to insert is, what, you want to do clip art? Or you want
we're going to do clip art because I don't have a logo handy right now.
Okay, all right. We'll just do clip art. And I bet what's going to happen, that sidebar is going to reappear, isn't it?
Sure did. Now, we were looking for somebody's birthday before.
Yeah, well, let's look for...
What do we want to look for now?
I don't know. Let's look for computers. There you go. We're doing a computer show. That makes sense. So just kind of like a search engine, you just type in what you want, and you see there are other options up there for things, different collections. And Microsoft uses the word clip art very loosely.
It does.
I always assume clip art is a graphic, but a clip art can also be actually a video file.
Photographs.
And I haven't quite figured out how to take a video file and print it on my printer yet.
Even more sounds.
Oh, yeah. Those are a little tricky.
You
but
don't even see a graphical representation.
No, they don't show it. But so we'll stay with the pictures. So we've got some results there.
Yeah. And to put that in, all we really have to do, well, first off, I want to notice that when I roll my mouse over it, I get dimensions.
Okay.
So I know whether this is going to be a big
and how
thing.
high it is. Okay.
And if I click on it, poof, that fast it's
there
in.
It is. Yeah,
but it really messed up my screen.
It sure did. Look how your text is in the wrong spot now.
Okay, I'm going to close this sidebar again.
Okay.
Because it's in the way. So when I have that kind of a mess made, I can click on the picture.
Okay.
And as soon as I did, you notice up here, this toolbar came up.
Right. Can you drag that down a little bit?
Can
There's
drag
the
that
four-headed
down.
arrow. You can drag that onto the document, make it easier for you to see. I also see a border around the picture with a bunch of little squares. What are those for?
Well, you can size it there. Those are called handles.
Okay. Oh, that's technical. All right. Grabbers and handles. Okay. Well, you don't want to mix the two up.
No.
If you're trying to use a handle, well, you need a grabber.
Well, you got to grab the handle.
You do have to grab the handle,
Okay,
but
we're
you can't
confusing
handle the
people.
grabbers. Okay. All right, but these little squares, again, put your mouse over the top of it. Now you see a two-headed arrow. And depending on where you grab it from, it might point up and down, and you can drag it vertically.
Yep.
Or if it's on the side, you can go horizontally.
And I just changed the size diagonally.
Now, one quick tip. If you go from the diagonal, it's going to maintain the proper proportions.
Which is good.
Yeah, and it'll force it if you hold the Shift key down while you do that.
We used to use that a lot in our graphics programs.
That's right. It works that way in Word as well. Well, this looks pretty good, but I really want the words to be under the picture, Lee. How would I do that? Yeah.
Actually, I wanted them to the right.
Okay. Well, all right, so there's a little picture here of a dog in it, and I don't know why they chose that.
Well, they've got the little picture of the dog, but around it they have the text. So you can see different ways to wrap text around your graphic.
None of these have ever made much sense to me.
Well,
I mean, inline with text I get.
The square is going to make a square area around it.
All right, so if you had a lot of text on the page and you wanted the words to be wrapped around it, like enclosing the picture, it would do it in a square dimension. Okay.
And one that's really handy sometimes is the edit wrap points, because if you have a graphic that maybe I wanted to bring it in so it was closer around the picture.
Oh, so sometimes it kind of conforms to the picture that way.
You can
well, that's
customize
pretty
that.
fancy. Why don't we just keep it easy? You know, when I always
square.
Okay, square. All right, so we do square.
And you'll see
that looks
now
pretty good.
Everything went up to the side. Now, if I click here in front of my text here and I want to bump that down a little bit, I just click there, hit enter a few times.
Okay, so what you do when you hit enter is you're basically inserting a new paragraph every time you do that. So now that looks pretty good, but I did say I wanted it centered.
You wanted the title part centered.
I do. I wanted the whole thing centered.
I really wanted to go left justified.
Oh.
We'll go centered.
Okay.
And there you go.
Now how do I get my picture centered?
You want your picture centered too? You want to bring that over with it?
Yeah, I want it to
because
be...
we have that wrapping function. There's your little grabber again.
Right.
We can actually move this over as long as it's got that square area around. Now, if I get it too close, you see where it splits it up.
Okay.
And a lot of it depends on how much text you have, so you have to be a little careful.
Okay.
It's got to have that buffer zone.
All right, now at the top of the page, and if you look over on the far left side, you see kind of the margins that are there. And when we come back from our break, we're going to talk a little bit about formatting the picture and maybe inserting additional paragraph lines and those kind of things.
You have to be careful of that one. So we're going to be back in a minute. We'll show you some other things to be careful of.